I've had the M4 iPad Pro for a year now, to the day actually. So how has it held up? How has having the Nano-Texture screen for over a year been? Yeah, it's just as smudgy as the day I got it. Has the battery been degrading? And how has the new design and accessories been for me for the last year of using them? I'm gonna try to answer all those questions real quick here today. We're gonna do a brief overview. I've done so many reviews of this iPad already. I don't wanna go crazy in depth, but I just wanna let you guys know how this has been for the last year. I can't believe it's already been a year with this iPad, but it has. As far as scuffs and damages, I can't notice a single mark on the main body of this iPad. I'll try and show some close-ups here so you guys can see that too, but overall, the physical body of the iPad has survived very well with my use over a year. And I keep it in cases like the Magic Keyboard all the time. They don't really have edge protection, and it's been good. So if you're worried that the Magic Keyboard means you're just gonna scratch up your iPad, not necessarily. If you just give it a little bit of care, you're gonna be okay. I've still put this in bags with other tablets and other computers before, and I don't really get any scratches on my device. And as far as the screen, like I mentioned, it is still kind of smudgy. It gets very smudgy. That is a downside I have faced for the entire year of owning this iPad. Now, once the screen's on, a lot of those smudges are just not noticeable, at least not very directly, and the benefits of Nano-Texture have still been worth it for me. But yeah, I haven't seen a single actual scratch on this Nano-Texture display, which is supposed to be, you know, way more fragile, and people are talking all about how you should avoid it because it's gonna get all scratched up. It hasn't happened to me. I've been using the Apple Pencil with it for sure, and still have had zero issues with that. So, I don't know, not been a problem for me, guys. It is still less durable than the standard glass, so keep that in mind. But again, it's held up over a year beautifully, and I've been not afraid to write on the screen very directly with the Apple Pencil. I don't keep screen protectors on my iPad, and I have a whole video as to why I don't do that, and I can link that below for you guys. But yeah, the iPad screen looks like the day I bought it. So going really quick into the battery health, let's take a look. So the health is normal, which is good. My cycle count is 115 after a year. Not too bad, I will say. So the manufacture date was April. My first use was in May, so it has been a full year. Here's the proof. And maximum capacity, 97% capacity. Not too shabby. It's lost 3% of its maximum capacity over the last year. Now, there were points that I was leaving that 80% limit on, which certainly does help the battery, but I wasn't doing that constantly, and there was nights I left it on the charger overnight, and it still did okay. This has definitely been the best iPad for battery health that I've owned. It's also the iPad that introduced having all these battery health settings finally. It should have had them a long time ago, but this one and the iPad Airs released alongside it were the first to actually have battery health in the settings menu. All right, but has this really felt like an upgrade over my previous iPads? I think yes, in a little way, because I get to use the little iPad. I didn't feel like using the little iPad with the significantly worse LCD screen that they used to come with on the 11-inch size. I wanted the big one to get the mini LED because it did seem like a lot better of a screen. With this one, you get the tandem OLED just like the 13-inch, which is even better than mini LED, at least for me, on the smaller size, which is what I prefer. I'd probably prefer a 12-inch iPad, but I don't know if they're gonna make one like that. So I'll take 11-inch over 13-inch though. So that's felt like an upgrade. Do I think the thinness has been so worth it over this last year? No, not really. I don't really care if it was slightly thicker. The 11-inch barely changed anyway. It was already thinner than the 13-inch, and 13-inch got even thinner than the 11-inch. So the difference was minimal, to be honest. I showed that in my 2018 versus M4 iPad comparison video. If you haven't seen that, check that out to learn more. But it's not a big difference. I said this from the beginning and I'll say it again. I would rather them keep the thickness the exact same and just increase the battery capacity. I think the main reason they went for thinner was just simply for lighter. And in that respect, I do appreciate the lighter iPad, easier to carry around, especially for the 13-inch, it really did need that. But for the 11-inch, I don't think the other one was heavy at all. So I would, again, still prefer the same thickness as last year, but they just give it more battery. This actually does have a bigger battery capacity than the last generation iPad Pro, but I would still rather even more battery and the same form factor as last year. Then it could fit into the older Magic Keyboard as well and make people happy that they didn't have to upgrade that and all that kind of stuff. So it would have been nice to see that. They didn't do it that way. It's okay. I've moved on from that. A 10-hour battery life, while they claim it's like, a good all-day battery life, 10 hours is just not it. And when you're doing heavier workload tasks, you do not get 10 hours of battery. You get maybe 5 or 6. So yeah, it's not the ideal battery for a professional device. But how about the new accessories for the iPad Pro, like the Apple Pencil Pro that they introduced with this? Now that it's compatible with basically every other iPad, like the new Mini, the new Airs, it's not quite as special to the Pro as it was when I first reviewed it. But I still do love the squeeze gesture, getting all those tools right here and accessing them like that. And the barrel roll is nice. But to be perfectly honest, over the last year, I have hardly ever used the newer features of the Apple Pencil Pro, minus the squeeze gesture and just appreciating that it has haptic feedback. But besides that, I hardly ever take advantage of barrel roll. And I never use the Find My feature. Personally, I don't lose my pencil that much. So, is it nice to have some of the newer features? Yeah. But would I say this pencil is worth upgrading from an older iPad Pro to move on from 2nd gen and get the Apple Pencil Pro? No. If I had to downgrade back to an Apple Pencil Pro, I wouldn't really care. I would miss the haptics, but that's basically it. The squeeze gesture, I could take it or leave it. It's kind of convenient, but it's barely a difference. I mean, you get your tools right here, or you just have them wherever you want in the corners, and you can just pull out your toolbar. So is this really so much better than going here? I don't know. It is better. It is better. But is it worth the upgrade? Probably not by itself. And then speaking of accessories, the new Magic Keyboard has been a much bigger deal to me than even the new Apple Pencil. I think this is a huge improvement over the previous generation. The trackpad is just unbeatable. Every time I compare it to another third-party company's version of the iPad keyboard, the trackpad is just such a downgrade. It's just incredible. Once you use this trackpad, it is really hard to want to go away from it. It's still not like the biggest one I've used with the iPad, but it honestly has not affected me that much. I just love the feeling of it. I just turn up the speed a little bit so I can still get across the screen easily in one swipe, and I just love this thing. It is great, and the keys feel amazing. And the white keyboard has held up pretty well for a year. I got this the same time as my iPad Pro. I think it's done a really good job keeping it safe and looking pretty snazzy while doing it. There's some discoloration on these corners. Don't know if you can see that there. And it looks like some of that comes off. But to be honest, this looks way better than my black Magic Keyboard used to look. After even like a few days, it would get just terrible looking. I love having a second port on the iPad thanks to this Magic Keyboard. Even though it's just for charging, I love having it here. It's why this keyboard beat the Logitech Combo Touch for me, even though I was really considering it for my iPad here. That, and it's way better in the lap. But with this Magic Keyboard, the charging speed is the same on that port as the native iPad port, so you don't sacrifice anything by charging it through there. I can't say enough nice things about this keyboard, the function roll, all that stuff. It's just a great keyboard for the iPad. And then as far as the M4 chip, has it revolutionized the iPad for me? No, because iPadOS is still limited in a lot of ways and it can't fully take advantage of it. You've heard this a million times, not gonna go into it. But I will say it is faster and there are apps on the iPad that require higher speed. Final Cut Pro exports faster with the M4 chip. Don't believe me? Watch my comparison between the M1 and the M4 iPad Pro, and you will see that there is a difference in export speed. And there are apps that can take advantage of that speed. So it's not like it doesn't offer any value here, but it is not revolutionized how I use my iPad. It just makes all those more professional tasks run quicker. But other than that, I haven't really done anything new with my iPad Pro that I haven't already done on a previous iPad Pro. Minus the fact of trying to make it my only computer for 8 months. I did stop doing that, and if you're wondering why, I also have that video for you guys. Sorry, I don't mean to keep plugging all my previous videos. Like I said, I've made a lot talking about this iPad. I don't want to just rehash everything, but I want to give you guys a good summary looking forward. And if you're looking at Apple's website right now and you see this M4 iPad Pro and you got the cash, but you're like, okay, this has been out for a year. Do I even spend the money right now or do I just wait? Well, I think you should wait at least a month. I think you should wait till after June 9th to make any more iPad Pro purchases and see what the new iPadOS software brings. If it is as revolutionary as some of the leaks are saying, you may want to hold off on your iPad till fall and get the M5 iPad Pro. I have said in the past that it looks like we're done with iPads for 2025. Apparently, new leaks have contradicted that statement, and some of the more reputable leakers are changing their tunes and they are saying, nope, iPad Pro will get an update in the fall to the M5 chip. So if the new iPadOS software looks like it's gonna be a lot more powerful and take more advantage of the chips, maybe you just wait for a better chip in the fall. Now, fall is very up in the air as to when that is, and maybe as late as November still. So you might have to wait still 6 months. So if you can't wait that long, the M4 chip is still going to be amazing. The M5 is not rumored to be revolutionary and change everything, and the current rumors are not predicting any other changes to the iPad Pros. It'll literally just be a chip swap. They probably won't even do a video for it or an event or anything. It'll probably just be a press release, site refresh, and it's the M5 chip. So I don't think it's gonna be a huge deal if you get the M4 iPad Pro. Also, if you just bought it a month ago, don't freak out and think you gotta get the new one. No, it's not gonna be a big difference. But if you haven't got one yet, definitely wait to see what WWDC brings. It's supposed to revamp the multitasking on the iPad, add a Mac menu bar when you connect a keyboard, and things like that. So it's supposed to be an interesting update. If you want to know more, stay tuned for next week because I'll have an in-depth predictions and leaks for WWDC this year video coming out. But yeah, that's the state of the M4 iPad Pro 1 year later. A great iPad, the best iPad you can get right now. But it still does the same thing the last iPad Pro did and the iPad Pro before that does. Minus a couple flashy features from the Apple Pencil Pro, a nice new keyboard case, thinner design, better screen, but the core features are fundamentally the same. But we'll see if WWDC changes some of that. Some people think a lot of these newer features are going to be exclusive to iPad Pros. It might be M1 and up, it might be M2 and up, it might be M4 and up. So we just really have no idea how Apple is going to structure these new features. So that could really affect people's buying decisions. I still stand by my buyer's guide recommendation for 2025 that for most people, they should buy a refurbished 2022 iPad Pro. That's the M2 variant. Besides those new Apple Pencil Pro features, it does the exact same things as this iPad Pro, and for most people, they will not notice the speed difference. I also just want to conclude with, if you've been wondering if Nano-Texture will hold up, wonder no longer. This has been a year and 0 incidents with Nano-Texture. I think if you were already going for 1 terabyte or 2 terabyte, pay the extra $100 and get Nano-Texture. But I also don't think it's so amazing that you need to get 1 terabyte or 2 terabytes to get that feature, because that's a lot of money on an iPad. So if you're not wanting to get that storage level, just stick with the 256 or 512 and standard glass and get a matte screen protector and you'll be fine. It's not that much worse of an experience. I don't think it's worth all that extra money unless you're already most of the way there. Anyway guys, I hope this quick video made sense to you and you were able to learn something about a really long-term experience with this iPad Pro. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments down below. Anything iPad, I've been very iPad focused on this channel. I use this device every single day. I'm always working on it. So if you have a question about it, please just leave it in the comments below. I probably already talked about it or know what you're wondering about. If you're curious about what folio case to get for your iPad, I just released a full in-depth comparison between 5 different folio cases for the iPad Pro. Please check that one out as well. And always guys, if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to the channel. It really does help the channel grow and me to be able to continue making these videos. If you like the shirt that I'm wearing, this actually came from my merch store. I was able to order a few samples for myself. I think they turned out really nice and I am impressed with their quality. So go to grafxtech.com, look around the merch store. I also have my pen loop for the Supernote Manta there. So anything you can do to support the channel would be fantastic. And as always, have a great rest of your day.